Took a quick break from working on my new text that's about to drop with Chessable. I submit it. They tell me when they're going to publish it. Top secret at the moment, but more details soon. So without further ado, go ahead and jump into this game. I thought it was remotely interesting, so share it with you guys. And a lot of my students have a big problem with facing the Slav. I mean, there can be quite a lot of theory with the Slav, and I've seen a lot of players do whatever they can to get away from having to face anything highly theoretical. But even the solid lines are becoming theoretical. Like looking at players like Grandmaster Akobian, he plays the exchange variation quite a lot with good results. And some people feel that's too dry, so I really like this line I'm about to show you because it kind of cuts out a lot of theory and you only need to know a little bit. And, that's a best case scenario type line for you. So first of all, in this exact position, you play e3. And the main reason why, if you play knight c3 or knight f3, there are lines with d takes c4. So first we'll start with e3, and that cuts out those lines, because if they take on c4, we take in one go with the bishop, and it kind of defeats the purpose of any of those dc4 lines. Black plays a reasonable move here with bishop f5. Now just taking away the option of him being able to take the b1 knight, placing some pressure on d5. Now it should be noted, if they don't play e6 there, you can consider taking on d5 and going into, just a solid position. Bishop b5 check, things of that nature, because the bishop is no longer on c8. Anytime this bishop is out and you don't have a c-pawn, you should consider queen b3 as well. So you have a number of different ideas here. But the idea that I wanted to show is this passive-looking weird move, bishop d2. And black has a number of different moves here, but typically the rule is, if this bishop, white's dark square bishop, is not going to g5, black is going to place his bishop on the more aggressive d6 square. And that's exactly what we're hoping for and banking on here, because he played bishop d6 in the game, and now we're going to show our plan. The difference between this structure and typical Slav structures, the knight's not on f3, and in typical pawn structures, this next move, c5, is normally bad. Because if we play this move, c5, black's going to have this e5 break later. It's going to undermine the pawn, and then white's got a rough position. And this is a common mistake I'll see for players that are like, well, you told me to gain time, so I kicked the bishop. But it can be a bad move if e5 break is going to be a possibility later. But here, because we've delayed the development of the f-knight, we have f4, which is directly stopping the natural breaks in the position. So normally I'll have people flail and play b6 and a5. That's fine. That's the side of the board I want to play on. I'm going to play b4, a3. So my opponent, who was roughly 2100 on Lichess, just kind of made natural moves and found himself in a lost position. So knight f6, knight f3, we both just kind of develop. I go ahead and play b4, and once I see a6, I see that he's not going to try to test me on the queen side. Okay, I'll take a bit more space. Now, this goes back to the last video that I did on the concept of patience with my students, because I've seen time and time again, they'll get a position like this, and then they'll be like, oh, okay, the plan's b5, b5 straight away. Well, b5 isn't going anywhere. There's no reason to rush it, and in this position, white's not fully developed. We have a bishop on f1 and our king's still stuck in the middle. Black is fully developed and ready to go. First, we need to handle development, and then we'll turn our attention to b5. I don't quite see what black's plan is in the meantime, so bishop e2. White goes knight e4. And here, I think some of my students would again make a mistake here and go, Okay, there's a knight. I better do something about it. He's attacking things. I can't deal with this. So they would take on e4, and then say after d takes e4, knight e5, knight captures, and all the knights are gone from the position, and with it, a large amount of winning chances. Tension. Tension is so important. So I just get the time that I need. If either capture, I'm not concerned. If black takes my bishop, I'll just take with the queen, connect rooks, and be fine. If he takes my knight, I'll take with the bishop, and I'm adding more pressure to e5. Black decides on this move h6. So I'm like, okay, he doesn't know what to do. This is a signal to me. So I'm going to play rook a2. And the main idea is I couldn't play rook b1 because of his bishop. So I have this idea to put the rook on b2. And, boop, that's it. Well, he decides to take. And he comes up with a plan of, well, I'm just going to keep putting knights on e4. No, that's okay. Now I'm prepared to take on e4 with the bishop. He releases that. And on queen b8, what I want you to see now is from patience, I've gotten rid of both my bishops, which weren't doing anything. I have two knights versus the knight and bishop, where it's a closed position. I have the only real break in the position because when black played h6, he should have been considering f6, e5 to just blow it up and risk it all. So now, is it time for b5? Patience, tension. We don't have everybody involved. Rook f to a1 first. Now this has truly pressurized the position to get the most out of the break. And occasionally, when we play this type of move, our opponent will freak out and do anything they can to stop the plan. And keep in mind, this is a 2100 rated player. He's not bad by any means, but he's so scared of the plan that he plays a losing move. And the evaluation goes from 7/10 of a pawn for white to +5. White to play and win. Simply grab. Now, if a takes, rook takes, and if he takes with the queen, I'm netting the lady. So he elects to lose the pawn instead. And that move doesn't help because that hangs the b pawn. And he tries to get tricky here, hoping that I'm going to take his queen. No. I've got two pawns in hand. I'm in no hurry in the position. And my opponent hallucinates playing too quickly that he's going to be winning the b pawn and forgot all about his bishop. And when he pre-moved, he had realized what he'd done and resigned immediately. So main takeaway again, tension. You have a plan, great. Don't be too quick. There's no reason to go too quickly in these positions. It's a very clean game from an interesting idea in the Slav. Hope you enjoyed it.